Everyone's talking about the European Banking Authority, EBA, governance obligations, prudential regulatory PRA, specifically Supervisory Statement 221. It's the UK version and it's heavily overlapping, not identical. And talking about DORA now, this sweeping obligation across Europe, not yet in the UK. And so what does that really mean for people who manage relationships, people who manage contracts, people who manage risk, and especially people who have to manage compliance, who own the reporting obligation, who are going to face off against the fourth line auditor and say, oh, well, we are actually in control, like we have to be, of our suppliers. We govern them appropriately and we control the risk appropriately. This is the main thrust across all three of those. EBA and PRA are applied to financial services. We can't have our big banks failing. And if that bank depends on 20 suppliers, well, then we better have a plan in case they have a wobble. And DORA is an overlap. DORA doesn't really care if you're a financial institution, but it does care if you store data in their cloud. You put your customer data in someone else's cloud, you're probably coming under DORA, right? Because you're responsible for that. No foisting it off to that supplier in case that data gets released. That's really the thrust of DORA. So it has a huge part to play in supply chain management if you're so affected, right? And you're going to have to stand up governance practices. You're going to be audited on about 15 points. At a certain level, it's about 15 audit controls under EBA and PRA. Overlapping, but somewhat different ones, or more in-depth for the cyber end for DORA. For the first time, the regulator published very, very specific requirements. Complicated. Logic control. If this is a bank branch office, you got to report such and so. If it's the head office, you have to do such and so. If this is a intra-group agreement, it's one thing. If it's an external agreement within that supplier, it's a different thing. And some of it's about completeness of data, validation, correct data, and then which data depends on all those and many more things. And what services the business is consuming has to be exposed into what suppliers and contracts power the service. What we build in Brooklyn, we have been in this compliance game for so many years that for our financial services customers, we are the outsourced register. I'm not saying that we export a load of data and make a presentation or make a Excel report. I'm saying it is the report, right? One click, Excel upload. That's it. Has the suppliers, has the services, has the contracts. And having done this for years in the EBA under Titles 2, 3, and 4 for those things you have to report, having done this in the UK to face off or to feed the Financial Conduct Authority enforcing the PRA and Supervisory Statement 221. For a long time, we've been working from these records and pushing that data into reports that just work. And now for DORA, very much more granular, defined requirements. And if one thing is wrong, the whole thing comes back to you to figure out. We literally have customers that say, I have done this 20 times in a row this year, and I don't want to do it again. Well, this year, they do it one time, right? We are filing to no less than 10 sovereign banks around Europe, starting with the Bank of Ireland and moving through others. And what took 4 people and one customer, 4 people, 4 months last year, took one person a matter of short weeks, and they were done a month early than expected anyway, right? Just ready ahead of time.